One night, an old banker hosted a party where he and other men discussed the topic of capital punishment. A heated conversation arose between the banker and the young man. After arguing, the two men settled a bet. The banker bet the young man $2 million that he would not be able to stay in solitary confinement for 15 years.
The death sentence and the life sentence are equally immoral, but if I had to choose between the death penalty and imprisonment for life, I would certainly choose the second. To live anyhow is better than not at all.
It's not true. I'll bet you $2 million that you wouldn't stay in solitary confinement for 5 years.
If you mean that in earnest, I'll take the bet, but I would stay not 5, but 15 years.
15? Done. Gentlemen, I stake 2 million.
Agreed, you stake your millions and I stake my freedom.
Think better of it, young man, while there is still time. To me, 2 million is a trifle, but you're losing 3 or 4 of the best years of your life. I say 3 or 4 because you won't stay longer. Don't forget either, you're unhappy, man. That voluntary confinement is a great deal harder to bear than compulsory.
For the first couple of years, the man suffered loneliness and depression. The man played the piano, drank wine, and laid on his bed to keep him busy. The man begins to read about languages, philosophy, and history. He reads a massive amount of books, acquiring large amounts of knowledge in those studies. Throughout the 15 years, the banker gambles away his money because he didn't believe that the man would last. Towards the end of the 15 years, the banker realizes that he would lose all of his money if he were to pay off the bet. The banker starts to have thoughts about killing the man.
Tomorrow at 12 o'clock, he will regain his freedom. By our agreement, I had to pay him 2 million. If I do pay him, it's all over with me. I shall be utterly ruined. Desperate gambling on the stock exchange has led me to lose my fortune. I used to be a millionaire of high class, but now I'm a banker of the middle class. Cursed bet. Why didn't the man die? He's only 40 now. He will take my last penny from me. He will marry, will enjoy life, and gamble on the exchange.
The following night, the banker heads to the lodge to attempt to murder the man. Upon entering, he sees the man asleep at his desk with his face down, a letter beside him. The banker reads the letter.
Poor creature. He is asleep and most likely dreaming of the millions. And I have only to take this half dead man, throw him on the bed, stifle him a little with the pillow, and the most consensuous expert would find no sign of a violent death. But let us first read what he has written. Tomorrow at 12 o'clock, I regain my freedom and the right to associate with other men. But before I leave this room and see the sunshine, I think it is necessary to say a few words to you. With a clear conscience, I tell you, as before God who beholds me, that I despise freedom and life and health and all that in your book is called the good things of the world. For 15 years, I have been intently studying earthly life. It is true I have not seen the earth nor men, but in your books I have drunk fragrant wine, I have sung songs, I have hunted stags and wild boars in the forest, have loved women, beauties as ethereal as clouds, created by the magic of your poets and geniuses, have visited me at night and have whispered in my ears wonderful tales that have set my brain in a whirl. In your books I have climbed to the peaks of Elburz and Mont Blanc, and from there I have seen the sun rise and have watched it at evening flood the sky, the ocean, and the mountain tops with gold and crimson. I have watched from there the lightning flashing over my head and cleaving the storm clouds. I have seen green forests, fields, rivers, lakes, towns. I have heard the singing of the sirens and the strains of the shepherds' pipes. I have touched the wings of comely devils who flew down to converse with me of God. In your books I have flung myself into the bottomless pit, performed miracles, slain, burned down towns, and preached new religions, conquered whole kingdoms. Your books have given me wisdom. All that is unresting thought of man has created in the ages is compressed into a small compass in my brain. I know that I am wiser than all of you. In your books I have climbed to the peaks of Elburz and Mont Blanc, and from there I have seen the sun rise and have watched it at evening flood the sky, the ocean, and the mountain tops with gold and crimson. I have watched from there the lightning flashing over my head and cleaving the storm clouds. I have seen green forests, fields, rivers, lakes, towns. I have heard the singing of the sirens and the strains of the shepherds' pipes. I have touched the wings of comely devils who flew down to converse with me of God. In your books I have flung myself into the bottomless pit, performed miracles, slain, burned down towns, and preached new religions, conquered whole kingdoms. Your books have given me wisdom. All that is unresting thought of man has created in the ages is compressed into a small compass in my brain. I know that I am wiser than all of you, and I despise your books. I despise wisdom and the blessing of this world. It is all worthless, fleeting, illusory, and deceptive, like a mirage. You may be proud, wise, and fine, but death will wipe you off the face of the earth as though you were no more than mice burrowing under the floor, and your posterity, your history, your immortal geniuses will burn or freeze together with the earthly globe. You have lost your reason and taken the wrong path. You have taken hideousness for beauty. You would marvel if, owing to strange events of some sorts, frogs and lizards suddenly grew on apple and orange trees instead of fruit, or if roses began to smell like a sweating horse. So I marvel at you who exchange heaven for earth. I don't want to understand you. To prove to you in action how I despise all that you live by, I renounce my 2 million of which I once dreamed as of paradise, and which now I despise. To deprive myself of the right to the money, I shall go out from here 5 hours before the time fixed, and so break the compact.
The next morning, 5 hours before the contract was to be broken, the man leaves the lodge and leaves behind the 2 million that he was to have had he stayed within the lodge.